Yes, hello and welcome to 360 Sports on Trust TV. I am Emmanuel Fashimi. We are going to actually start from that particular video. You saw the Wrestling Championship, the first edition of the Military Paramilitary Wrestling Championship here at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium. It was put together by Customs. They bettered the idea to involve every other military and paramilitary in this particular games. About 14 of them will have NSCDC, road safety, the Army, Navy, Air Force, all of them taking part in this particular event. And also we saw some national champions and world champions. The likes of Hannah Ruben was there in the 68 kg for women. Definitely so it's for both the male and female. Also along with the Wrestling Federation of Nigeria. All right, we will start from that particular story where the military to paramilitary wrestling championship debuted in Abuja. Like I said, is a way of catching them young, harnessing talents, and getting talents to represent the country. All right, I have Ephraim Okpanachi joining up on the show this morning to look at this and other story. I will also have Canis Ifiago from UK also joining on the show. But let's start with Ephraim. Welcome to 360 Sports on Trust TV. The military stroke paramilitary championship debuted in Abuja. This is the first edition of this kind of championship here in the FCT.
Thank you very much for having me. It's really encouraging to know that people are thinking about things like this. You're thinking about how to get people to get properly engaged in sports. It's really gladdening to know that the military is thinking about this and other services like the paramilitary that you're talking about. Welcome development it is.
Okay, the Controller General of Customs actually was on ground during the opening ceremony, Bashir Adini by name. And if you look at it, during his speech, he made mention that it's not going to be a one-off thing. What is your take about that? Going going to wrestling where we have other sports?
Yeah, for him saying it will not be a one-off, we don't expect one-offs. We want to have sustainability. And when you have a tournament that from time to time you continue to have, it allows for progression. It allows for player identification. It allows for players to be able to grow from one level to the other. So the best part of it is that he says it's not a one-off, meaning we'll have another edition, and then you have people whom you identify from the first one coming, and then you have all new people also coming in. So where to go if you like.
Okay, it's the way to go. Definitely, they will also still take this to the grassroots, that is, as primary school and secondary school will also get to they will be involved. Though for the military, they've actually contributed to the development of sports in Nigeria. Ephraim, I don't know if you actually agree with me. They've actually contributed, the military and paramilitary have contributed to the development of sports in Nigeria.
Nigeria's first gold medalist at the Olympics, a police officer. So tells you exactly how far they've been contributing. Chioma Ajuma was a police officer when she won gold for Nigeria at Atlanta 96. So in that regard, the very first gold medal at the Olympics came from somebody who was serving, actively serving. So I agree with you totally. They have contributed a lot.
Okay, they've contributed a lot to the development of sports in Nigeria. All right, moving away from that story, let's go straight to Umahia, where the Nigerian Volleyball Association, that is NAF as they are called, finished their league. That is the Volleyball League in Nigeria, and NAF Rockets with Delta Queens are crowned champions of Division 1. At the end of the day, for NAF Rockets and Delta Queens, for the both male and female category in the Division 1, they were crowned champions. NAF Rocket beat Ethiopian Food at Abuja Life Camp Volleyball Club, lost in that final 3-love to NAF Rockets, 25-17, 25-18, 25-31, both as in winning all of the 3 sets. And then for Delta Queens, they also did well, winning it. Though for NAF Rocket, they finished with a total of 43 points in the league. So they are champions of the Division 1 for the male category. Ogbanachi, I think for we just finished with one of the military games now. We are seeing another military side winning the Division 1 volleyball championship.
Yeah, there you have it. But I've always said this about team sports in Nigeria, particularly volleyball and handball. I'll raise the standard for Nigeria should be what Egypt is doing. Egypt has been very, very successful in these team sports, volleyball, handball, if you like, on the African continent. And to be the leader on the African continent where you can compete favorably on the global stage, Nigeria should seek to at least get to the level that Egypt is at the moment. And tournaments like this, no doubt, would properly equip you to be at par with those who are already doing the right thing. So I'm very excited that this is happening here in Nigeria, different pockets of sporting events being put together. That is how we will be able to grow to a point where we can compete with the very best on the continent and look forward to competing with the best in the world.
Okay, to compete with the best in the world. For Delta Queens, they were unbeaten all through the league phase right there at Umuahia Township Stadium. That was where the event for Division 1 and 2 though took place. All right, let's leave volleyball and go straight to the continent. This time around, we'll talk football. Yes, I believe all Nigerians will be waiting for the verdict. What will CAF come up with? First, in the General Assembly for the incident between Libya authorities and the Super Eagles during the match day 3 AFCON qualifier. Motsipe in their General Assembly actually condemned the incident, but today we'll be waiting for that verdict. What CAF will come with. Canis, let me come to you on this one. For the Confederation of African Football, we are waiting, Nigerians are waiting, the continent at large is waiting, the world is waiting with what they will come up with. The punishment that we met out to Libya for making Super Eagles to face that inhuman treatment in March day 3 for the AFCON 2025 qualifiers. Canis?
Yeah, anything less than 3 goals and 3 points to Nigeria would be really unfair. I know it might not be the verdict, but what Libya has done doesn't represent fairness, and it doesn't represent spirit of sportsmanship or respect for the opposition, which was expected from them. The treatment wasn't nice, and I feel like it's intentional. I don't know any other way to explain it. I don't know what their explanation to CAF must have been, but it doesn't represent spirit of sportsmanship for me.
Okay, doesn't represent spirit of sportsmanship. For you, Ephraim, I think eyes will be on CAF because everybody will be waiting to see what CAF will do. Anything less than maybe a very stiff penalty it might not be acceptable, not just for the Nigerian Football Federation alone, and for other countries who have suffered the same fate the Super Eagles have got. The Super Eagles went through. So for CAF, I think all eyes will be on them today when that verdict would be passed.
Well, Nigeria's experience with the Confederation of African Football, CAF, over the years when it concerns boycotting football matches or tournaments has not been very palatable. In 1996, Nigeria was to defend the AFCON in South Africa, but President Nelson Mandela said he could not guarantee the safety of Nigeria when they come, if they come to South Africa. And for that reason, Nigeria decided not to attend AFCON 1996 in South Africa. What did the Confederation of African Football, CAF, do? CAF decided to slam Nigeria with another edition ban. So as defending champions in 1994, Nigeria could not defend the title in 1996 and was banned a further tournament in 1998. That is what CAF did when Nigeria was told by South Africa that the safety of Nigerian team cannot be guaranteed if they come to South Africa because Nigeria was led by a military dictatorship. The scenarios are slightly different this time around, though, because Libya also claimed that they suffered something similar. They even said something worse. Their flight went to Port Harcourt. They were supposed to land in New York. They said they were told to land in Port Harcourt. Nigeria says they told them to land in New York. Well, investigations have been conducted. I'm not sure people will, CAF will ask for 3 points and 3 goals. They might ask for a replay. That's what I think they might do.
Okay. If they ask for a replay, do you think it will go down well with Nigerians? Because definitely during that incident that Libya claimed that they went through here in Nigeria, it's not as worst as what they did to the Super Eagles. First, the NFF came out to debunk that they were asked to land in Uyo, not Port Harcourt, and they decided to land in Port Harcourt. Okay, NFF, since they landed in Port Harcourt, NFF took it upon themselves to quickly make an arrangement for them to get to Uyo. They said they have their own arrangement. They made it so difficult for the NFF, and they got to Uyo finally, and we saw what they did on the pitch. So if we want to look at that, what happened to them? Is it up to what they did to us in Libya?
I asked the same question the other time. Is it tit for tat? They said it looked like tit for tat, even though they deny retaliating what they said they went through. NFF has tried to make it clear that Libya decided to, go about its own game here in Nigeria the way it wanted. We're told to land in Uyo. They decided to land in Port Harcourt. NFF wanted to convey them. They said they had their own arrangements. But in Libya, it was not the same scenario. We landed. Nigeria was stranded in Libya for over 13 hours. They didn't have access to the internet. They didn't have access to food. They didn't have access to water. Not even a place to sit and rest properly. So the scenarios are quite different. We'll wait to see exactly what the Confederation of African Football comes up with. But my thinking is, if you ask if it will be fair, it might not be a fair thing, but they could also ask them to play that match away from home as a punitive measure. Those are things they could do. Order a replay, but not in Libya.
Okay, we are waiting. We are actually waiting for that verdict to come up today, because for the Libyan FA, they actually went against the CAF statutes. If you look at the CAF statute, it has explained that a hosting team, you must give security and you welcome your guests very well, give them that maximum, that respect and what have you. It's all stated in CAF statute, and if you go against it, the punishment is there. So we are waiting for CAF earnestly to see what they will come up with. For Patrice Motsepe, during the 45th General Assembly, he actually condemned that, and we are waiting after the whole investigation. I think that report will be given today, and we will see the verdict that CAF will come up with. But for Nigerians, the continent at large, and even the world, they are waiting to see what CAF will do to Libya. All right, let's move away from that story, and let's take a cherry news for the Flamingos of Nigeria in Dominican Republic. Earlier as of this morning, they got the job done against the host Dominican Republic, making it 3 wins out of 3, qualifying from Group A with maximum 9 points. Canis, for the Flamingos of Nigeria, they are cruising. They are already through to the quarterfinal, and they face USA, a repeat of what we saw in the last edition in India.
Yeah, the US is a tough side as far as the competition is concerned. We saw how it happened last time in India, and we finished on penalty shootouts, even though we came on top. And they've started quite strongly this time around. Their last game was 5-0. But overall, the Flamingos of Nigeria has had a wonderful outing thus far. And I am expecting a cracker. It's going to be a tough one. I mean, a tougher game compared to the 3 that they've played. But I think we still have like a slight edge ahead of USA.
Okay, we still have a slight edge. Now, if we want to compare, if we want to look at the players this time around in this squad and that of the last one, though we still have the captain, Folabi, who was there with them the last time, but the likes of Jakaye and co, we still have quite a few of the players that went to the last edition in India. Now, if we want to look at the past team, the players, the team that went to India, and these present team, how do you rate their strength, their play? How do you rate both teams?
I feel this team is better. I know it's an increase in experience for the manager, but I think one thing about this team is that they are quite compact. They try as much as possible not even to concede, and the intensity with which they play is very, very high. Like once they get onto the pitch, it's business from first minutes to 90th minutes. And not just Taiwo Afolabi you mentioned, they've got Chidi Harmony, who was also in India.
Okay,
So they've got like two experienced players.
Okay, they've got two experienced players. Okpanachi, if we look at Coach Bankole Olookere, somebody on this show also opined that he should continue with the under-17 women's national team, as in he should just, maybe NFF should just allow him to stay there to groom players, scout for players, as in for the women, that is the under-17 team. I don't know, how do you rate the working rates of Coach Bankole Olookere thus far?
Well, in the time he has had with the team, he has given a very good account of himself. But then again, I say this all the time when I'm asked these type of questions. America, you talked about, have a very organized structure. They have under-17s who are really under-17s, so they develop along that line. It's no surprise they've won the Women's World Cup more than any other team or nation on planet Earth. They've won more. They go to the Olympics, they win. They go to the Women's World Cup, they win, and all of that. So at a point, it almost becomes like a right. They have to win at all each time these tournaments come around. So, but in our case, the scenarios are slightly different. We try to put teams together just to win at the age grade level. But when we transit to the senior level, we find it very difficult. But for what it is for this particular tournament, Olookere has done a good job. And if there are calls for him to remain there, I think I'll go with those calls, that he should stay there and be allowed to work.
Okay, he should stay there and allowed to work for the Flamingos of Nigeria. They will be playing against the USA women's team in the quarterfinal. Let's see how it goes. It's going to be a repeat of what happened in the last edition. But before we move away from that story, Canis, let's look at that game in particular. What are your expectations? What's your prediction? Flamingos against the USA girls.
My expectation is that we are going to win. It might get to extra time, but I feel like we are going to win. But it's going to be a really, really slight margin, like a tiny margin.
A tiny one, like 1 goal or 2 or what?
Let's just say 1 goal difference.
Okay, 1 goal difference in that particular game. Okpanachi, I don't know if you agree to that. In that game, we know that the USA women will have it at the back of their minds that yes, what happened in India, they won't want it to repeat itself again. And if you look at this player, like Canis mentioned, in sort of a way, I think this team is better than what was the team we saw in India, coupled with the experienced players who were there still in this team.
Well, I'll hold a slightly different view. The girls are good, no doubt about that. But like I've always said, the American football structure at age grade is well structured. They know how to do zonal marking. Zonal marking. I've seen in their games, they can mark as a team and attack as a team. And that is very good for them. Those are areas that have worked for them over the years, and it has become part of their footballing culture. When they come for camp, they tell them this is how you play against teams like this, is how you play your own football. And having worked together for that length of time, from when they were maybe 10, 11, they know the structure very well. Now, if the game gets to the nitty-gritty where tactics win, America might just make one over Nigeria because tactically they have shown that they can play as a compact side. But then again, if it comes to flair, we have shown a lot of flair in the tournament as well. So it depends on what tactics both managers, bring up on the time when they get to play against each other. But if you put it down to tactics, they are slightly ahead of us in the tactics they've employed so far. But we do also have the flair. So it depends on what they bring to the table on match day. I'm not going to stick out my neck for anyone for this one.
Okay, you just want to sit on the fence. All right, let's see how that game will definitely pan out. It's going to be a very big one for the Flamingos of Nigeria. But I believe in these girls. I believe in Coach Bankole Olookere. Yes, That goal against the host Dominican Republic came in the 89th minute by Moshood in that game. They scored late on, but it is what it is. Winning is winning. That one go, two go. They've already scored 8 goals in 2 games, and it's to tell you that the team is a free scoring side, so they are very fruitful. Let me use that word, in front of goal. All right, let's leave the women. Let's leave the girls, the Flamingos, and we'll go straight to Europe. Yes, it was the UEFA Champions League games last night, and we've got a couple of games. We will look at those results and look at the teams and look at their performances. But before I speak to my analyst, let's look at the full result. We have AC Milan beating Club Brugge 3-1, Club Brugge of Belgium. For Samuel Chukwueze, he was also instrumental in that game, getting an assist. Monaco trashed Resta Belgrade 5-1. Arsenal left it late against Shakhtar Donetsk 1-0 against Shakhtar Donetsk. And Aston Villa continues against odds 2-0 against Bologna. They are topping the Champions League table. You will not believe that. Girona beats Slovan Bratislava 2-0. Juventus lost at home to Stuttgart 1-0. PSG 1-1 against PSV. Real Madrid came back from 2 goals down to beat Borussia Dortmund 5-2. These two teams met in the finals last season. And Sturm Graz lost at home to Sporting CP 2-0. Yes, Canis, I'll start with you. AC Milan against Club Brugge 3-1. It ended. And good news, yes, we are happy that Samuel Chukwueze was instrumental in that game, continuing from where he left it over the weekend, where he scored against Udinese in the Italian Serie A.
So since we are happy that we've got one of us who had an interesting outing versus Club Brugge, we also had Onyedika, who got a red card in that game in the first half. Rafael Onyedika, which was not really nice for him. But Chukwueze, yes, was instrumental. I think AC Milan did very well, considering they had an extra man advantage since the other team was 10. They played very well. Chukwueze was brought in the second half, and within a few minutes, he made a very crucial assist. And his build up to that assist was very nice because he took on a man and made a very sharp cross. So, yes, interesting for AC Milan, considering it's just their first win since the UEFA Champions League started.
Okay, just their first win. For you, Opanachi, let's have the result back on the screen because we'll x-ray those results. For Arsenal, Opanachi, Arsenal now, they are crying for injury worries. We have Calafuri also getting injured in that game, but they got 1-0 victory over Shakhtar Donetsk.
The difference between Arsenal and the likes of Manchester City, the squad depth. You know, we've seen red cards to their team 3 times in the Premier League this season, and on 2 occasions they were able to force the draw. At the 3rd occasion, not that lucky. You know, they, of course, lost that game, the first Premier League match they lost this season. Now, it's also translating to the Champions League. They are now struggling. You don't need to struggle at this stage. So I think Mikel Arteta should do something about his squad. If you want to contend with the very best, you have to have squad depth. He doesn't have that at the moment. You take out Saka, and then they're struggling up front. You know, and then you come to them, if you take out their main man, they're struggling as well. It shouldn't be so. His opponent, Man City, of course, in the Premier League, those who they're chasing it out with, they have almost replacement for every squad member from the middle of the park right to the attacking position. So Arteta should find a way. That's for us now. Then you come to the likes of Aston Villa, which has been the surprise team, but not for me. I've seen the way they've played under Emery from last season, and I know that they look like a side that want to challenge for things. And the manager has even come out to say, look, we have to be able to start challenging for things. 3 wins, good way to go for them. And then again, you talk about the likes of PSG getting the win they needed, Real Madrid, PSG not getting the win they needed, Real Madrid getting to win. So it's building up gradually. People were complaining when this format was released earlier in the season, but it looks like people are now beginning to enjoy what UEFA is serving.
Okay, what UEFA is serving. Now, Canis, I don't know if you agree with Ephraim on that, because I was actually coming to that. If we look at the format this time around, it's as if it's taking a toll on some teams. But for Real Madrid, this is their second win. They have 6 points on the table, though it's just 3 games. But so far, Aston Villa is on top with 100% start with 3 games, 3 wins out of 3, 9 points. And the likes of Real Madrid, a team that has won the Champions League more than half, just have 6 points. And if we look at the whole scenario with the format of the Champions League, I don't know if it's something, the whole excitement or whatever is still there.
To be very honest, I love this format from the very first time they announced it. And my very first reason is that we've got to have a lot of big games to watch. Like today, we are going to see Bayern versus Barcelona. We've seen Aston Villa versus Bayern. We've seen Real Madrid versus Dortmund. We're still going to see Real Madrid versus Liverpool. We're still going to see PSG. But we've seen PSG versus Arsenal. So there are a whole lot of big games in this round. The only thing I think is like the disadvantage is because they would play 2 extra games, because when it was 4 in a group, 8 groups, they were going to play 3 games home and away, that making it 6. But now they would play 8 games, I think. So I just think it's just the 2 extra games. So the players have to play much more games. But in terms of what we are seeing now and how the results are coming out, it's a very beautiful format. And one other thing is, if you're coming from a league that is not strong, you're going to be exposed, because you're going to play at least 6 teams from different countries. So before, you were just going to play 3. It's going to be 6, because you can play 2 from the same country and from the same league, yeah. So, but you've got like 5 more that you play from other countries. So if you're coming from a place where the competition is not strong, we would see it better, because you would clash with other teams that are way more stronger.
Okay, now let's look at Madrid game quickly. Where did Borussia Dortmund got it wrong? They were leading 2-0. All of a sudden, Vinny Jr. getting a hat-trick and Rudiger also getting a goal in that game. Where did they get it all wrong?
Yeah, first of all, we have to appreciate that Madrid would always have the edge, because they have the better talent. They've got Vinicius. They could also respond to games, considering the kind of bench that they have. They have Mbappe, they have Jude Bellingham, they have all these players. So Borussia Dortmund's manager, Nuri Sahin, has coached a great game in the first half. But like I always believe that no matter the kind of tactical prowess that you have, talent is the king. Talent is sovereign. They can still crack up whatever setup that you've got, and that's what has happened. They have a Ballon d'Or contender, Vinicius, who has actually proved himself, because that was a Ballon d'Or performance that he displayed against Borussia Dortmund. They had a very exciting outing. I mean, Borussia Dortmund in the first half, but it's not really down to how what they got wrong. It's how special Real Madrid is in this competition and what they can do, even when it is just like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to the end of the game.
Okay. Now, Ephraim, on a general assessment of the games last night, what is your take?
Well, a competition is getting more exciting. It's a little bit unpredictable, because in the past, like Hani said, you just have 3 teams, you work on a strategy. Okay, I get this result at home, I do this away, and I'm through. But now you have to play so many games. So even the supposed weak teams or weaker teams are springing up results. Aston Villa hasn't been a force to reckon with, but they're just cruising along the way. That for me is a positive from what the UEFA has come up with this season. Generally, good football was served last night.
Okay, good football was served last night. Other games will be coming up tonight, and we'll be bringing those results on the evening show, and then we'll be bringing the fixtures, I beg your pardon, on the evening show. And for last night game, let's just run over the result one more time before we move to the next story quickly. Let's just run over it. The likes of AC Milan winning 3-1, Monaco 5-1 against Red Star Belgrade, Arsenal also winning at home at the Emirates Stadium 1 against Shakhtar, Aston Villa doing doing it big with Emery winning 2-0 against Serie A team Bologna, Girona 2-0 against Slovan Bratislava, and Juventus lost at the Allianz Arena in Italy to VfB Stuttgart 1-0. PSG and PSV Eindhoven 1-1. PSG also they have a claim of penalty in that game, and Real Madrid with a 3-star performance for Vini Jr. Ballon d'Or performance, getting a hat-trick in that game, 5-2 against Borussia Dortmund, and Sturm Graz of Austria lost to Sporting CP of Portugal 2-0. All right, let's leave Champions League and just take a transfer story quickly, where former Barcelona coach, that is Xavi, now in talks with Manchester United over the possibility of taking over from Erik ten Hag. Canis, quickly, for Xavi, we don't know. The talks are ongoing. If this deal will fall through, definitely, if it's going to replace Erik ten Hag and Manchester United. But looking at Xavi and Man U, is it going to be a good move for him?
It's going to be a good move, but it's a more difficult job when you compare it with the one he had at Barcelona. So Manchester United at this moment, for me, they need a winner. They need like someone who has won over and over again, because it's a difficult job. We've had people come to that Manchester United, and the stories are more or less the same. Mourinho, Van Gaal, Ole, David Moyes. I mean, all these managers since Alex Ferguson left. So Xavi would be going into a hot seat. When you look at his oppositions, the kind of projects that they have, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Aston Villa, and the likes of them that he's going to be competing with. So, yes, a good job, but a much more difficult job.
Okay, much more difficult job. Ephraim, I don't know if you have one or two to say about this quickly before we move over to the next story.
Last time when you asked me, I told him to go for Zinedine Zidane and be patient with him. But of course, you're going for Xavi Hernandez. He had good results when he was at Barcelona, not the best results anyway. But will Manchester United have the patience that is required, that the club so desperately needs at the moment? The club requires an overhaul of its playing staff and a total x-ray to get out the ones they do not need, surplus to requirements, and bring in the kind of boys they need. Unfortunately, Ten Hag has brought in most of his Ajax, prodigies back in the day, but they've not delivered for him. They've not played like they played back in Ajax. It's not gelling for him at Old Trafford like it gelled at Ajax. So Manchester United needs to be patient right from the board. Those making the decisions have to be very, very patient. When they appoint a coach, give him time. Look at the number of years Arteta has had at Arsenal. He hasn't won the Premier League, but they are patient with him. That's exactly what Man U needs at the moment. A coach, yeah, it could be a good move if they are willing to be patient with Hernandez.
Okay, if they are willing to be patient with Xavi Hernandez. All right, let's leave that and talk basketball this time around quickly. Yes, these two continue to make history in the world of basketball. The first time we'll be seeing that in NBA history, father and son, LeBron James and son, Bronny, make NBA history. Ephraim, yes, and we are still expecting this to happen in football. But in NBA history, we have father and son for LA Lakers wearing that jersey, James and James Jr., 23 and number 9 jersey.
Well, looking at them, you know that the boy still has a long way to go to get into the shoes of his father. I'm not trying to make comparisons, but when LeBron was the age his son is now, we saw a star emerge. We saw that, but we've not seen that much from LeBron Jr. Let's hope it's just early days and we might see something better. But the onus rests on LeBron Jr. to step into the shoes of his father, which I must say, are very, very big boots.
A very, very big boot. Canis, for Bronny, I think he is one of the most excited, let me not use the word kid, young man right now, sharing the same court with his father in the same team.
Exciting prodigy he is, but like Ephraim said, stepping into that shoes, I mean, they are very big shoes he's got there. to try to, but I'll just say he should just be himself rather than trying to be LeBron James. He should just be himself and play his game, because his father had the magnitude of the talent that his father has. We're not sure if he would be able to replicate that. So the best for him at this time is just to be excited about where he has gotten to and just enjoy the game.
Okay, definitely. If, that's going to be a big shoe if LeBron James Jr. would definitely want to step into his father's shoe. But let's see how it goes. It was the NBA opener. Let's look at the result of game. Just two games were played in the NBA this morning, and we have New York Knicks lost to Boston Celtics 109 to 132, and Minnesota Timberwolves lost to LA Lakers, where we saw LeBron James and his son playing in the same team for LA Lakers, gracing the same court, 110 to 103 against Timberwolves in the NBA opener. So it's going to be a long season. So father and son have a very long season to play in the NBA. Let's quickly take this last one. It's boxing before we go on the show. Saunders, former two-time champion of the WBA, WBO, at least backs Joshua to become three-time heavyweight champion. Canis for Joshua, he wants to be in the ranks, the level of Lennox Lewis, those who have won the WBA three times, and now Saunders is backing him to actually get that target.
Yeah, I think first things first for Joshua is to keep his head high up, get ready, put his body in shape, get his mind into the best form, like the best state, really, and try to win back his belt from Dubois. That match for me was a little bit disappointing. I didn't see it happening, even though Dubois put in a great game trying to beat him and actually did win. But I am expecting Joshua. My expectations are high that Anthony Joshua should win Dubois back. I think that's like the very first thing for him.
Okay, the very first thing. Ephraim, for Joshua, I know a lot of will be going on through his mind. After that fight, he said he was not going to throw in the towel. And now we've seen a rematch. But a lot of ex-boxers and boxing pundits are backing him to go, have a rematch with Du Bois and definitely win that bet back and join the, like I mentioned, Lennox Lewis and co, who have won the WBA champion 3 good times. He wants to be at that level.
Joshua is in a very precarious situation at the moment because his sport has to do with money, a whole lot of money. So there is the business angle to the game that he is involved in. The promoters, the fixers, those who arrange the fight have to have their resources recouped when they put out such money for a fight. That is the scenario Joshua finds himself in at the moment. If you ask my honest opinion, he shouldn't be fighting at the moment. It said you're as good as your last race or you're as good as your last bout. But look at the last 3 fights he has had. How exactly did he fare? We had 3 disappointing fights back to back. That is not good for someone who is a world champion. And we know these things do happen. And when it occurs like this, it's expected that he takes time off, clear his head. He needs a break. He needs a vacation. He needs a time alone with his coach. Sit down, his psychologist. They should talk to him. If he's not up to the game at the moment, then he shouldn't be fighting. He needs to have more medical examinations. Is he totally okay? If he is, then you can now have him do some of these rehabs. Make him take time with him, spend time and understand exactly what is going on in his mind that is making him fight as poor as he has fought over the last 3 fights. That's the first thing to do. Then the second thing after going through the process will be to condition his mind to be able to fight. But unfortunately, like I said, it's a game where money seems to be placed above what the athlete wants to achieve. So they want to get their money back and they're setting up all these fights. Honestly, Joshua shouldn't be fighting anytime in the next 3 or 4 months.
Okay, I think Joshua will actually heed to your advice, but I think during the last fight against Daniel Du Bois, He made more money, though he lost that fight, he made more money, and he said he was going to come back strong and win that bet. Let's see how that go. He just have to clear his head and have his mind set up. And I think that is where we'll be leaving it on the show. Ephraim, it's good having you on 360 Sports this morning. And to you, Canis, good also having you on the program.
Pleasure as well, as always. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you very much.
All right. That is it on
See
the
you
program.
some other time.
I am Emmanuel Fashimi. Say thanks for watching.